Evening, it is now 6:03 and welcome to the Community Development Committee meeting. I'm the Chair, Louis Washington. Today it's being recorded and will be available on the city's website. Thank you everyone for joining us. So roll call. To my right, we have Councilmember Wadden.
Yes.
I'm present, I hope. And Councilmember Johnson.
Yep.
As well as staff. Okay. Okay, we now move to our first item of regular business, which is to approve the agenda. Any questions on the agenda? Okay. Agenda then is approved. At this time, we will provide times for residents to provide public comment. So I don't see anyone here in the chamber councils, can't talk today. Is there anyone online for public comment?
No.
We're not allowing online
Correct.
right now. Yep. That is correct. So on to the next piece of business, which is to approve our agenda item. Our next agenda item, which is approval of the minutes dated, looks like July 7th. It's been a while since we had a meeting, July 7th of 2025. Any questions on the minutes? Okay. Minutes approved. Okay, next on the agenda is Agenda Bill 25083, the Affordable Workforce Housing Development. And if I'm not mistaken, that looks like Director Davis we have there online, and I'm going to turn over the meeting to you at this point, Director.
Thank you, Chair Washington. I appreciate it. And I do apologize. I had thought that I would be a little more situated, so I don't have the agenda bill directly in front of me at the moment. But tonight we are going to discuss where we're at, the current status with the affordable and workforce housing. As you may recall, in December, we went out for an RFQ, and we extended that a little bit through January due to some requests by developers, and we received 2 applications in January, and we all met at, I believe, our February meeting, and we developed a selection committee, which consisted of myself, Councilmember Watton, and then we had the city administrator was part of that, and a couple of other people that that had experience with affordable housing projects. And we were going to start by reviewing the RFQs that came in and grading those, and then bringing that back to the committee. And so we've gone through that process now, in addition to exploring some other options that were a possibility, like reaching out to Imagine Housing. And we also reached out to City of North Bend, who to see what they were doing with their affordable housing project. And we came in contact with the Related Northwest folks, who Councilmember Watton and I had a conversation with, just to, kind of understand what kind of projects that they built. Councilmember Watton, do you mind, I've laid this out pretty explicitly in the agenda bill, but if you have anything else to add, I'd appreciate you jumping in and giving any other detail, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely. And you hit it spot on. The 2 community members were Tim Locke. He's with Cirque Living.
Yes.
He is a person that has been working in this sector with affordable housing for things like SHAG and other large development. So he has a lot of familiarity with that. And the second person is Jonathan Pearlstein, who's an attorney, a real estate broker, but has worked with Habitat for Humanity on the board. And since the property was next to Habitat, we thought it would be good to bring him in for the discussion. And just kind of, we looked at the two proposals that came in, and they didn't really resonate with us. As far as one was a national company that's never done work in the Northwest, had a large scale development that included, I think, now don't quote me on this, 20,000 square feet of commercial. It may have been 10,000. It was a significant part, and it just did not seem suitable for the land. And then it was going to include multifamily housing. And so that was one. The other one came back as an architect, and it really didn't, we kind of missed the mark on what we had talked about as a council.
Councilmember Johnson.
For that proposal, did it actually fit technically within the lot? Or do they just not even understand that there's buffers and stuff? How did it kind of come across in that sense?
A piece of land somewhere in Washington.
Mhm.
I think that one of the challenges to it is the ingress egress to the property. It's very limited. And to think that, you know, one thing is housing and the trips per unit, if we will, on taking 50 or so units versus a commercial space where you could have a variety of things, but it will definitely boost up the number of trips. And
I mean, but did the proposal actually fit on the lot? Technically speaking?
maybe Director.
Well,
sorry,
they
Ms.
didn't actually give us a proposal because that's not what the request for
Right.
qualifications asked for.
Got it. Okay, I follow
It,
now.
yeah, it just asked for qualifications that they had background and the ability to build these kind of units. So we didn't actually get a site plan or any kind of proposed units or anything like that.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So it's,
Some specialized in converting distressed commercial property into housing. They were the nationwide company, and the other more local company has done some projects, but they missed the mark of the application. Neither one of them,
Right.
in my view, as a member of the committee, was responsive to our request.
so, I think I would ask the question, we had two respondents. And with the work group, we wanted to go through and score the respondents based on our RFQ, kind of the proposal that we had, and we had, you know, some points in there and kind of, you know, relative to what we were looking for. Did we get a chance to do that?
The point was that both of the proposals that came back really didn't meet a point where we could even score them. The second one that Mike, or City Administrator Chambliss referred to, they've had very limited experience in affordable housing. They've done some housing development, but again, it was it was sketchy at best. They were pulling together different partners that hadn't worked together. So based on that, that was the point where we felt neither of those were even close to, you know, consideration and bringing back. And at that point, we took a look at other projects. One was by Imagine Housing. We reached out to them for some input, and Mr. Draws, I always get it wrong. Tony Draws?
Troy, was it Tony or Troy?
Troy, I always do that. Okay, Troy Draws, and we did have a discussion with him because there's a similar piece of property in Bellevue with a similar slope and all that. And I think the feedback we got, if I recall, Director Davis, is that they wouldn't consider another project like that again. And then,
No.
you're right,
Affordable housing
right,
development,
yeah,
okay.
Imagine Housing does affordable
Okay.
housing. And then the second one is one that actually is in the process of doing a master plan development with City of North Bend. and that's Related Northwest. They're the 7th largest affordable housing developer in the country. But what's unique and what we want to take into consideration is they've done projects of this size and scope in Seaside, Oregon, with approximately 70 units. And this one over in North Bend will have 40, which is the smallest one they've ever done, but they're very interested. So the question comes back, do we close this out and reboot in 2 weeks, come back, and we've got 3 options. We can either go out and do a new RFQ that kind of further defines it, do an RFP, or do we just simply go out and say, okay, you know what, we want to continue discussions, but they all want something on the table as to, what's in it for us. And we do have some REAP money that we've set aside, and there's going to be development costs on their part. So I think we as a committee need to discuss, which of the 3 channels we want to take. And then, as far as commitment, we have a little better idea of what some of the restraints are. Like, for instance, we need a lift station. That lift station can be anywhere from $750,000 to $1.5 million investment. And then the next question is, what can we do to maximize what we want to get out of the property? Because the maximum benefit is what, how many units can we actually fit on there and make sure that it's for our desired workforce housing. So I hope that helps.
Councilmember Johnson?
So I've 2 things. First is, what is our responsibility to the parties that did respond to the RFQ? I would imagine radio silence. I don't know how good of an option that is. It seems that they're at least deserving of a formal no thanks.
Or a response, considering that it was closed out in February.
Right. So I'm curious about, like, what is our responsibility to them? It feels icky to just ghost them, but then again, this is my first time going through this process. So I want to go through that, and then I do have a second thing, but we can deal with that first.
Okay.
Yeah.
City Administrator?
I'll take responsibility for the ghosting. There was a staff change involved in all this.
Yes.
It took some time to get new staff up to speed,
Mhm.
et cetera. So aim ghosting, blame it. But as for next steps, an agenda bill has been prepared for consideration tonight to move forward to council at the next meeting to formally declare the responsive, non-responsive and close out that RFQ.
Okay.
And then it's my recommendation. Beyond that, we have that discussion at the next meeting.
If I could just add really quick, like, we haven't really ghosted them. I have been in contact with them, and I've told them, look, we appreciate you going to the work to give us, the proposals. However, we're kind of having to go back and kind of rethink this a little bit, and we're trying to navigate that, and to please be patient while we figure out what our next steps are. And so it has, like, I wanted to let you know that I've kept it professional, and I've let them know that we're still working through the process. And so they're aware of that. So it wouldn't mean that if we went out for a formal RFP, or we had we decided on other next steps, that they still couldn't, throw their hat in the ring, or be considered for something in the future. It's just that for what we asked for in the RFQ, it didn't really hit the mark of what we needed to know how to proceed with this development project.
Councilmember Johnson?
Thank you. So that sounds appropriate, that we take those to council, we declare them non-responsive or whatever, not unresponsive, but non-responsive, whatever the proper term is. Yeah. Right. So we have that little discussion, and then we move forward, and then I would assume that it would come back to committee here to decide, do we want to go forward with a second RFQ? Do you want to switch over to try an RFP for some reason? I am curious. Did that second group
Mhm.
that you've been talking to, Councilmember Watton, did they seem interested in putting in a response to a request for qualifications or proposals either way?
I'll defer to the city administrator.
I'll take this one. I was present at the
Mhm.
meeting. They're interested enough to take a look at things. They've asked for public data to know, really determine that. It's
Mhm.
way too early to tell. You know, they've asked for elevations of the sewer line and the street and things like that so that they can do their work on their side to see. So I would not say that we have a firm commitment for anything or anything. The
Mhm.
cart is not in front of the horse.
Right.
They just, they didn't run away screaming.
City administrator, I'm just curious. So did they know that we put out an RFQ in
Yes.
January? Okay.
Yes.
Just curious if there's potential interest, why wouldn't they have submitted for the RFQ?
Oh, I think they know now that we did. I don't think
Mm.
they knew back.
Oh,
then.
they didn't know then.
No,
then.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, fair enough.
I,
Okay.
I was explicit with them that we had and what
Okay,
it was. when we
okay.
met with them.
Okay.
So if we
So-
reopened it, then perhaps again, being open with them, sharing the data with them
Right.
that they requested, they may submit one, or they might look at the data and say, nah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Fall.
we need to finish what we have open before we even talk about the next, is my opinion.
Sure.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, just kind of going forward, are there, lessons learned, like maybe we should have the RFQ out there longer in the future if that's the model that we choose, or is there anything we can do to promote it more, or, I don't know what the channels are.
I think we learned a lot,
Okay,
with the last one.
okay.
So, and I think there's a staff change that'll make a big difference also.
Councilmember Watt?
Yeah, one other thing too is that Director Davis is working with the city of North Bend to get their documents as well, so that we have a better understanding of kind of the size and scope over there. And I do think that, we've learned a lot from this. We tried the RFQ. When you do an RFQ, it's for qualifications. It's more on, are you qualified to do it, which is sometimes suitable for engineers or suitable for choosing an architect. But in this project, we're looking for somebody to build a project. And I think that, we need to take a look with Director Davis on doing an RFP, because it puts more of a fine point on what we want to end up with. And, but I leave it to, the two of you to, decide where we land on this and make a recommendation back to the council. And the other thing is, I do not want to walk away from the two that submitted. We can go back to them and say, okay, we've refined it, whatever we land on, RFQ, RFP, and we want you to take a look. We're going to consider what you have, but now that we have some different parameters or some more pros and cons of this site, would you be interested in moving forward?
It's a good idea.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be appropriate to give them another bite of the apple, so to speak, once we have better data or better information to share with them on what it is we're asking for. And I think the request for proposal would be a better avenue to get that information.
City Administrator Chambliss, what are your thoughts on that? The RFQ versus the RFP. I know we talked about this before, but considering that we're refining the process, what would be your thoughts going forward?
I'm not trying to weasel out answering that question, but
Oh, I know.
I
you're not.
would like to consult with Director Davis
Okay,
about
fair
that.
enough.
As I've learned more about this, I can see it going either way.
Okay,
And it may be that the RFP is the more proper now that I know more of the parameters. So
So, just let me finish this one point, please, Councilmember Johnson. So I think going forward, that conversation is maybe we'll have that conversation in the next CD meeting. But I think what we do is we bubble up the agenda item to council, close out the old RFQ, if you will, make sure that we respond to our two respondents. Then we're back at the drawing board here at the CD committee level.
Yep.
That sound good? Okay. Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far into the weeds. I recall staff in the past having concerns about the RFP with the idea they could cost more staff time to prepare one versus an RFQ. And I don't know if that is necessarily a true statement with staffing changes or not. But I do know the CD is still hurting, so still working on that front.
City Administrator.
I really don't want to get in the weeds on this, but
Yeah.
my statement's going to be this. I'm not worried about the staff time involved in doing whatever work that we need to do.
Okay.
My strong urgence of an RFQ process last time
Mhm.
was my haziness on the description of the project.
Mm.
As we've gone through this project, I believe, as we've gone through this process, I believe the project has come into focus
Mm.
through a variety of reasons. And I just want to leave it there.
So just as a response to that, just a second, Councilman Johnson, just as a response to that, City Administrator, again, kind of if we choose that option, if that's where we land of going back out with an RFQ, we're thinking this time it's more refined, we're more specific in what we're looking for. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
No, I don't want to say it.
You sure? Okay.
I'm walking a line between HR and this.
We appreciate the council, City Administrator. Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah, I think that's resonating with my recollection of the issues that we talked about last time with the RFQ versus RFP, where for an RFP, we would have needed to have things much more closely defined.
Mhm,
And the
mhm.
idea was that would have taken both staff time and just literally
Months.
would have taken
Yeah,
months.
from what I
And we
understand.
wanted to get something out there to get the ball rolling.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if we're at a point where it would make more sense to do the RFP, fine, but let's go ahead and close things out on
Do you have a
this,
comment?
on the RFQ that's still technically active and needs to be closed out, and
Yeah.
then we'll bring it back to CD and make the next step.
Sorry, Johnson, do you have Councilmember Watt, did you have a comment?
No, let's just finish this part out and then we can, give 2 weeks, we can come back and further define what the next step is.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like we're all in agreement. Yeah, so let's see here. Sorry. I'll have you do this. We're closed on the screensaver.
Just give
Look,
them your password.
Technical difficulties. But it's good teamwork. Thank you, Councilman. Okay, so with that said, we don't need to necessarily take a vote, but we're all in agreement that we will forward Agenda Bill 25083, Affordable Housing Workforce Housing Development, to the next council meeting on the 8th.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
I would wonder if this is something that could be on the consent agenda. I wonder if that could make things a little bit simpler.
I mean, it's not it definitely could be. It's not a monetary issue.
I'd rather
sorry.
keep it on the regular agenda under CD.
What are
Just-
your thoughts around that?
Just so that, well, and the reason for it would be so that we can have more explanation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
more transparency to the council.
Yeah, I agree. I think considering that we're looking at potentially other options, maybe having that opening up the general discussion at council would be a good idea.
Yeah.
What are
And-
your
and-
thoughts, Councilmember Johnson?
Yeah, I think I agree because we could also follow up and make sure the council's aware that that doesn't mean that we're done with the site or
yeah.
anything. We could say we intend to take next steps at CD.
Any thoughts from the staff?
It's your call.
I would just say that I think it's also important to recognize that we received questions from the Life Enrichment Options Group known as LEO. And he had some really helpful questions that I think could help guide us in how we go forward and what information we need to gather in order to kind of start this process over again. So I think it would be really beneficial to, when we come back to this with the next CD committee, to provide you again with the list of those questions. I know we visited this back in February, but I think it would be good to kind of just revisit everything again as a group.
Yeah, I think that's good counsel.
Totally agree.
Right. City Attorney?
Oh,
Did you-
no, sorry.
Oh,
Scratching
just
my head.
stretching? Okay. Very good. Okay, well, yeah, I think if we could potentially have that ready for our council meeting on the 8th, Director Davis, is that a possibility?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
sounds good. Okay, anything else? Okay, Council, or excuse me, City Administrator Chambliss.
And I may have jumped in too early. Is this anything else, period, or anything else about that item?
Anything else, period? I think this item's
Okay.
covered. Anything else?
I just want to give you a heads up that your next meeting's canceled because we're holding training in here.
Oh, that's right.
For all the committees and commissions, so I just wanted to remind
Is
you.
that
all
the 15th? Is my math correct?
I believe so. yeah.
So then.
Yes, so it'd come back October 4th.
Is
Yeah.
it? So the 15th, well, +7, the 20, wouldn't it be the 29th?
Well, that'd be the 5th.
Oh,
Monday.
are there 5 Monday? Okay, so then it would kick out, okay, to October 4th?
Yeah, so we have the first meeting in October.
Okay,
Right.
yes,
Thank you. I do have something now. If we're at the very end, this is, sitting next to me is Robert Thrall.
Oh.
He's our new legal assistant deputy city clerk and he's new to the city. He's been here for about 2 weeks.
nice to meet you, Robert.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard. Thank you for being here. We need all the counsel we can get. Okay, there being no further business to come before this committee, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
Sounds good. We're adjourned at 6:31.